how do you know? How do you do change management on your SAP CPI iflows? So we got into some trouble with the security team, and that led to some discoveries. So we, over the summer, we created a feature to the Figaf ERT tool that took your CPI environment into the ERT application and then exposed it to a Git repository. In this development approach, we had also, when we did it, exposed it in a public Git repository, which CPI should not be done. But a security team from one of the clients I'd worked on reached out to me and said, hey, you've got some internal security things in, please remove them. We obviously removed the repository and removed them from the CPI system. Then we got live with the function, and one of the potential clients that were trying out the tool also exposed the repository to a public GitHub account, and their security team reached out and said, hey, please remove this this repository, it contains some private information. They luckily had been in contact with us, so we could go in and ask them, please remove that. But in some scenarios, we would actually not be able to do anything because it is the customer's repository they're uploading into. What I did see while it was public was one of the things that they mentioned was this file, and I checked it out, and in this there was a basic authentication string in, and a basic authentication string, I guess, says authentication colon username and password, and then this username password is encoded with base 64. And that is really not a way to secure these environments. And that led me into the thought, you actually need some pretty strong QA procedures for this to happen. How do you actually able to catch that someone is trying to use a non-best practice approach for transporting and setting authentication in a CPI iflow? And there could be multiple reasons for it. I didn't look into more details about what this could do, where this iflow was when it was created, and how you could actually do configuration at that point in time. But it does stress that there can be something that developers doing that work in development, but it's really not best practice, and this is something that you must remove in a QA process. And yeah, the client here will then will fix this issue, but how do you actually ensure that this will never happen, or happen less frequently, or whatever you want as a goal for this? So with the Figaf ERT tool, you have the option to actually see what transport. You can see what iflows, what kind of configuration is being done for this transport, and that greatly simplifies the transport procedures, and the QA, that you can actually see what's this transparency about what's actually being exposed. One of the features that I'm also looking forward to is the CPILint that Morten Wittrock has created, and how we can actually implement that and make it as an extra validation that the customer can see once they're doing a transport. Are we actually trying to transport some iflow that is not really using best practice? And they can say, okay, I know that it contains one of these parameters, it's okay for this scenario, and continue and say we just want to move it to QA and production. So that would probably help. For now, I think the best way is to use the Figaf ERT tool to transport and be able to see what is actually being transported in your CPI tenant. If you like this video, please hit the like button. I really appreciate it. Yeah, and then have a fantastic weekend. Goodbye.